Hayden Panettiere's best TV shows and movies. Her career explained. Warning, content warning. This video discusses Hayden Panettiere's death and later personal struggles. Her cause of death has not been publicly disclosed, so this video will not speculate about it. Hayden Panettiere's career is one of the most remarkable Hollywood journeys of her generation. She started working before she was even 1 year old, became a successful child actor, turned into a teenage television star, and eventually became known around the world for two very different characters: Claire Bennet in Heroes and Juliette Barnes in Nashville. But her filmography goes far beyond those two shows. From animated movies and family films to horror franchises and dramatic television, Hayden built a career that lasted more than 3 decades. And following her death at age 36 on August 16, 2026, fans are looking back at the movies and television shows that defined her career. Hayden Leslie Panettiere was born on August 21, 1989, in Palisades, New York. Her mother was actress Leslie Vogel, and her father, Skip Panettiere, worked as a fire department captain. Hayden entered entertainment extremely young. She appeared in commercials as a baby and began acting in soap operas as a child. One of her earliest major roles was Sarah Roberts on One Life to Live. She later appeared as Lizzie Spaulding on Guiding Light. Those early soap roles gave Hayden something unusual for a child actor: years of experience in front of a camera. At the same time, she began moving into movies and animation. In 1998, she voiced Dot in Pixar's A Bug's Life. That was followed by voice and screen work including Dinosaur and other projects. Then came one of her most recognizable early movies. In 2000, Hayden appeared in Remember the Titans, playing Cheryl Yost alongside Denzel Washington. The film became a major success and introduced Hayden to a much larger audience. She followed that with Joe Somebody, Raising Helen, Racing Stripes, and Ice Princess. These projects helped establish her as one of Hollywood's most recognizable young performers. But her biggest breakthrough was still ahead. In 2006, Hayden joined the cast of NBC's Heroes. She played Claire Bennet, a high school cheerleader who discovers she has a remarkable regenerative ability. Claire could recover from injuries that would kill an ordinary person. The character quickly became one of the show's most popular figures, and Hayden became a major star. Heroes ran from 2006 through 2010, and Hayden appeared in all 4 seasons. The role earned her multiple Teen Choice Awards and turned her into one of the most recognizable young actresses on television. But after Heroes, Hayden didn't simply repeat the same kind of role. Instead, she took on a completely different challenge. In 2009, Hayden starred as Beth Cooper in the teen comedy I Love You, Beth Cooper. She also appeared in the horror franchise Scream. In Scream 4, she played Kirby Reed, a horror movie fan who knows practically every rule of the genre. Kirby became a fan favorite. And although the character's fate was left uncertain for years, Hayden eventually returned to the role in Scream V in 2023. That comeback was particularly meaningful because it marked Hayden's return to a major franchise after a long period away from acting. But between those 2 Scream appearances, Hayden found another role that would define her career. In 2012, she joined ABC's Nashville as Juliette Barnes. Juliette was a young country music star with enormous talent and an equally enormous collection of problems. She was ambitious, confident, vulnerable, sometimes selfish, and frequently self-destructive. The role allowed Hayden to combine acting and singing. She performed many of Juliette's songs herself, and her music became an important part of the series. Hayden's performance earned her 2 Golden Globe nominations for Best Supporting Actress. Nashville ran for 6 seasons, from 2012 to 2018, and Hayden appeared in more than 120 episodes. It became the longest-running television role of her career. But Hayden's filmography also includes television movies and smaller dramatic projects. She appeared in productions such as Tiger Cruise, Normal, Custody, and The Forger. She also returned briefly to the Heroes universe in Heroes Reborn. Her involvement was limited, but it gave fans another connection to Claire Bennet. Then came a long period in which Hayden stepped away from major acting work. Her return began in earnest with Scream V. The film brought Kirby Reed back into the story and allowed Hayden to reconnect with a character many viewers had never forgotten. She then appeared in Amber Alert in 2024. She also appeared in the horror film A Breed Apart, released in 2025. And in 2026 came Sleepwalker, a psychological thriller in which Hayden played Sarah. The film is especially significant because it is her final known acting role. She also served as an executive producer on the movie. Beyond traditional film and television, Hayden had another major voice role. She played Samantha in the interactive horror game Until Dawn. That performance became especially popular with gamers, and she later returned to the Until Dawn universe in the 2024 video game release. She also voiced Xion in the English version of Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance. So when you look at Hayden Panettiere's career, you can see several different eras. There was the child star era, then the heroes era, then Nashville, then her return to horror through Scream, and finally, the later period when she began taking on more selective projects. But there was another part of Hayden's career that became increasingly important: music. Hayden wasn't just an actress. She became a recording artist through Nashville, where her voice was an important part of Juliette Barnes. Several of her songs from the series charted, and her work on the show demonstrated that she could carry a musical performance as convincingly as an acting scene. She even received a Grammy nomination earlier in her career for a children's read-along album connected to A Bug's Life. That versatility is part of what made her career unusual. She could play a superhero. She could play a country singer. She could appear in a family comedy. She could perform horror. She could voice animated characters and video game characters. And she could move between television, film, music, and voice acting. But Hayden's career also included long periods away from the spotlight. She spoke publicly about postpartum depression, addiction, and the pressure she experienced during her life and career. In 2026, she released her memoir, This Is Me, A Reckoning, giving her an opportunity to discuss parts of her life in her own words. Then, on August 16, 2026, Hayden Panettiere died at the age of 36. Her family confirmed her death through her representative. As of now, authorities have not publicly disclosed a cause of death, and the circumstances remain under investigation. That means any claims online about the cause should be treated cautiously. What can be discussed with certainty is her work, and there is a lot to remember. If you discovered her through Heroes, you remember Claire Bennet. If you watch Nashville, you remember Juliette Barnes. If you love the Scream franchise, you may remember Kirby Reed. If you grew up with Pixar movies, you may remember her voice as Dot in A Bug's Life. If you watched Remember the Titans, you may remember her as Cheryl Yost. And if you're a gamer, you may know her from Until Dawn or Kingdom Hearts. Her career began when she was an infant. It continued through childhood. It exploded with Heroes. It evolved through Nashville. And after years away, she returned to the screen in projects such as Scream 6, Amber Alert, A Breed Apart, and Sleepwalker. That is an enormous body of work for someone who died at only 36. So, if you're looking for the essential Hayden Panettiere watch list, start with Heroes, then Nashville, followed by Remember the Titans, A Bug's Life, Scream 4, Scream 6, and I Love You, Beth Cooper. Then explore her lesser-known projects to see just how broad her career really was. Hayden Panettiere was much more than Claire Bennet. She was much more than Juliette Barnes. And she was much more than the headlines surrounding her personal life. She was a performer who spent virtually her entire life in front of cameras. A child actor who became a television star. A singer who performed for millions of viewers. A horror franchise favorite who returned years later. And an actress who continued working until her final known film role. Her career may have ended far too soon, but the characters remain. Claire Bennet can still heal. Juliette Barnes can still sing. Kirby Reed can still survive the rules of a horror movie. and Hayden Panettiere's performances can still be discovered by a new generation. That is ultimately what a filmography becomes after an actor is gone. A collection of moments that don't disappear. And Hayden Panettiere left behind more than enough of them